Strategically, the land of Palestine has had a tumultuous history. It is the recognised birthplace for both Judaism and Christianity, but in the past 1,000 years has been home to Christians, Jews, Romans, and also a multitude of warring tribes. It was ruled by the Ottomans for 402 years until 1918. And in 1948, the United General Assembly adopted a resolution recommending the partition of Palestine into an independent Arab state alongside a Jewish state. And that brings us up to really the present day, where the right of Israel to exist has been a deep and a burning issue in the region for decades. And the rise of fundamental Islamic extremism has added to the tensions of the regions as they firmly oppose Israel being in the area. The rise of the Hamas government in 2007 has strengthened the need for Israel to manage its borders, but this in turn has promoted further and greater Islamic fundamentalism in the region and has also pushed inadvertently Israel into more right-wing government tendencies. On Saturday, October the 7th, Hamas orchestrated a devastating rocket attack and incursion into Israeli settlements. The sickening, indiscriminate murder, rape and violence by Hamas-trained soldiers is beyond anything this region and large parts of the world have seen for over 70 years. Hamas, supported by Iran, has long advocated to wiping Israel and its people off the map. The murder of 1,400 innocents, including concert goers, women and children in their homes, cannot be condoned or justified in any way, and neither the murders of Kim Dante or Emily Hand. Also, the injury to 4,000 civilians and the taking of 150 hostages, including non-Israeli citizens, back to Gaza to be used as bargaining chips is not something that can be condoned either. This has been the backdrop and precursor to the Israeli military operations, with the stated aim to finally eradicate Hamas and its supporters. But it has to be said that the military capability of Israel is beyond formidable. But there can be no justification now for what is a collective punishment of the Palestinian population that is now taking place. A collective punishment now exceeding over 3,000 dead, over 12,500 wounded. The siege tactics of Israel are completely disproportionate to the mission at hand. The targeting of buildings in Gaza for artillery bombardment also means the indiscriminate killing of innocent people who have little or no option of escape. The cutting off of the most basic essentials of food and water targets the most vulnerable firstly. The cutting off of electricity needed to run the hospitals and the public utilities, along with the refusal to allow in medical supplies, is unconscionable on any level where a civilian population is being so targeted. One cannot blame the entire people for the malevolent actors that operate within its society, but this is what Israel seeks to do in pursuit of future security. All of these actions are engendering is future hate, future violence, future devastation and possibly wider regional catastrophe. The international community may know something of the hurt of Israel to the recent Hamas actions. In Ireland, we certainly understand what hurt engenders. Our history has taught us that you cannot subjugate a nation and think some will not revolt. You cannot indiscriminately kill and think that your own life or your own future is secure and without risk. Ireland, after 30 years of the Troubles, is a clear example that you cannot win hearts and minds with war. Only peace delivers that. As a respected member of the international community, Ireland must use now all its diplomatic powers to pressure for an immediate ceasefire of Israeli military actions, including the planned ground invasion. Regional Arab countries too must ensure that rocket fire from Hamas and Hezbollah also ceases. Hostage repatriation discussion must begin immediately and humanitarian corridors must be allowed to open and the movements of the civilian population allowed. Electricity and water must be restored as quickly as possible, along with vital medical and food supplies allowed in. All of this can only happen with a truce, but such a truce could possibly be supported by international peacekeepers who could be deployed to monitor against future insurgency. The question is the will there? The international community must step up and do its job, Minister, a job that we have collectively ignored for decades. The future of Israel and Palestine can only lie in a two-state solution. It is the only arrangement that offers true independence and true security to the regional populations. All the regional stakeholders must agree and be prepared to sit down, and they must be called out to be prepared to sit down and see how such a solution can be achieved. It will require international oversight, probably for many years to come. What is certain is that the present actions of Israel are playing into the hands of Islamic fundamentalism. Neither Israel or the wider world can afford a resurgence of such ideology. A future and a peaceful future for Israel and Palestine can be forged. It is unlikely to happen without the fulsome support of the Arabic and Western powers that seeks finally to recognise the rights of Palestinians and Israelis to live and occupy the lands of their forefathers. As a small nation which continues to chart a path of peace among its own peoples, Ireland can be an example of what might be for Israel and Palestine, where hardliners and militants are the new enemy and where compromise is a step that must be taken, because compromise is not alone the language of peace, it is also the price of peace. And at this stage of the conflict, and in honour of all those who have sacrificed their lives, it is the only price worth paying.